and welcome to Coffee Break Blogging, where you'll learn to grow and monetize your blog in short, tactical installments you can use right away. Now here's the next episode in our series. Welcome back to another installment of Coffee Break Blogging, where this isn't just another podcast, it's a full course on building an online business based around blogging from scratch. My name again is David Risley, and if you want to catch up with us from the beginning of this course, go to coffeebreakblogging.com to view the full show archives. Okay, let's get into our topic for today. We're continuing talking about setting prices for your products and what to charge, but in this episode, I want to back up just a little bit and talk about how to test out a product idea. And the reason I want to talk about this is because when it comes to pricing your products, many people will test out potential things to charge money for by giving it away for free or listening to feedback from people who have gotten that product for free. And so you've got a product idea, and let's say that you build it. And then you allow 5 or 10 people into it for free in order to get their feedback. And these guys give you feedback, and then you launch it to the world with a price point based on their awesome feedback, and it doesn't really sell. Or another thing that can happen is that you have an idea for a product, and before you actually build it, you go to your list or just some people you know, and you tell them what your idea is. And then they go, wow, I would really love that. Yeah, I would definitely pay money for that. Something to that effect. So you think, whoa, man, I'm onto something here. And you go and you make it, and then you put it out there for sale. And once again, crickets. Nothing happens. No sales. What the hell's going on? You want to charge money. You want to have something you can assign a price point to, but you're not getting off the ground to begin with. Well, here's a true thing that you need to know, a true piece of information, and I think that you need to write this one down because it's pretty important. The only valid form of product validation is if somebody yanks out their wallet and hands you money for it. Okay, that is the only valid form of product validation. It doesn't matter what sweet nothings people have put into your ear about the product idea, how awesome they say it is. It doesn't matter unless they've paid for it. Okay, here's the thing. This is just human nature. If they don't pay for it, they're not invested in the outcome. They've got no real reason to go through the material. They've got no real reason to really put their own effort into it because they've got nothing invested in it. They're not going to value it, and they just won't take it seriously. Now, the second thing here is that they also don't want to disappoint you. And so if you're coming to them with this product idea, they want you to feel good. They want you to like them back. And so, of course, they're going to say, yeah, that's a great idea, or I would definitely want to buy that. And even if they have some criticism of you or have some ideas on how to make it better, they've not bought it, have they? And so therefore, everything they say to you needs to be taken with a grain of salt. It's not that they're lying to you in many, many cases. It's just that it's one thing to think something great about something or think something positive. It's another to think something positive so much so that you're willing to pull out your wallet for it. And that's really the only test that matters here. Will they buy it? Okay? Will they buy it? And so, how do you achieve a good form of product validation if the product doesn't exist yet? Okay? Well, the answer is to pre-sell it. You want to sell it before you've made it, okay? Now, it's actually a pretty simple thing to do, and I recommend that you do this in almost any product that you make. But you've got to create the thing, create the offer for it before the product actually exists, and then you sell it. Sell it as if the product is a thing that you've got. Now, you want to be open with people and let them know that this doesn't exist yet. But you want to turn that into a good hook for it. Say you're actually at an advantage that you're enrolling in this early, because you can actually co-create this product with me. You will be able to have a direct impact into the product. I can tailor it to exactly what you need. And you can also put scarcity and urgency on top of that offer by saying, we're going to begin this on such and such a date, and in order to be involved with this, you need to sign up before that date. So it gives you a natural deadline to your offer that can help you make more sales. But here's the thing. If nobody buys it, it didn't validate, okay? It didn't validate. You don't make it. You don't waste your time at that point. On the flip side, if they do, then you're off to the races. You got yourself a product idea. People just yanked out their wallet and bought it, and that is the ultimate form of product validation, okay? So how do we actually do that? How can we actually pre-sell a course? I know I've talked with some members of the lab, the Blog Monetization Lab at blogmonetizationlab.com, by the way. And we've got a very active community there. And I have had a few questions come up about, like, how do you go about pre-selling something? It doesn't make any sense. How do you sell something before you've done it, before you've made it? Well, it's not that difficult, especially on the internet. I mean, when we're creating information and training products, you realize we're creating a product out of thin air. We really are. And there's no rule that says it has to exist before you collect the money for it. People are used to the idea of classes. You know, when you go to college and you pay for a semester, you don't pay for that semester after the semester is over. You pay for it before the semester begins. And it works the exact same way on the internet, or at least it can if you position it in the right way, okay? So here's what we're going to do. Let me just outline a really short progress on how you can, or process, I should say, on how you should pre-sell something. The first step is to really nail down what you believe would be a killer offer for your audience. I want you to think of the offer which is going to get them interested. And remember that it doesn't matter that you haven't made it yet. In fact, it's actually better that you haven't. So at this point, what you're really going to do is sit down. You need to know your audience really well. Hopefully you've done some surveys. You've got, some good feedback from them. If not, probably go back and do that first. But you come back, and knowing that stuff, you sit down, you think, what would be the perfect offer for them? And you want to tailor it, of course, to the price point that you've got in mind. If your goal is to come up with a front-end offer on your sales funnel, well, then obviously you're not going to knock it out of the park and give them the whole, kit and caboodle in one thing, So keep your eventual price point in mind. But with that in mind, come up with the perfect offer. What is going to really get them excited and make them think, man, I really want that, okay? And I want you to think of that outside the confines of what you've actually made or whatever. I just want you to just brainstorm what would be the perfect offer for them, okay? Step 2 is to outline that offer. And I want you to make sure that you're not promising anything that you can't deliver. This is that point where in number 1, you basically are coming up with the perfect offer. And number 2, if you have to, you're paring it down a little bit to what you can actually deliver to them, okay? But this is where you outline the offer. You outline what they're going to be getting, and please don't outline that only in terms of features. I want you to think of what the benefits of this are going to be for them. That's a very classic sales copy thing, features versus benefits. So definitely keep your eye on what those benefits are, but realize that other parts of that offer are going to be things like the guarantee, and speaking of the money back guarantee, what bonuses might go along with it, things like that. I just want you to sit down and come up with some bullet points here and outline the basic gist of the offer you plan to make to them. Step 3 is to write the offer letter. Essentially, write your sales page, do a video if that's what you'd like to do. I'm not going to get into the copywriting here on this episode, but this is when you do that, okay? Just write down that offer. Realize it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? Now, part of this offer letter is to be clear that if it doesn't exist yet, you need to let them know that it doesn't exist yet. But don't say, hey, I'm selling this in order to test it out and see if anybody really wants it. Don't say that. I want you to position it as a live class. Now, if you don't intend to actually do it live via a webinar or something like that, that's fine. You can actually record the videos and post them up there or what have you, or something like that. But the idea from your customer's perspective is that they're actually going to be having a voice in the direction of this thing that they're buying, because they're actually going to be there and providing feedback to you, and you're going to be listening to every little thing they say. You're going to be there answering their questions because you want to know what their questions are, because then you can use those to go make your product better to make sure that it handles those questions. So I want you to make it clear that you're kind of co-creating this thing together. And that's not only a strong marketing hook, but that's how you make clear to people that this doesn't exist right now. It's not like they're going to get immediate access to a big bunch of stuff, okay? Step 4 of the pre-selling process is to then take this to your market. Make the offer, okay? The point here is to drive traffic to this offer that you've just created and see what kind of conversion you get. Do people buy it, okay? Now, for this reason, and because you really don't know what's going to happen, I highly encourage you to try to shortcut this whole thing. I don't want you to spend 3 weeks writing a sales letter here, because you don't know what's going to happen, okay? You don't know what's going to happen. The idea here is that you're testing it. You're seeing if it has legs. But you need, at this point, step 4, you're going to drive traffic to that offer page. And you can do this by way of your blog, by way of your email list, paid ads if you'd like, whatever will drive traffic, whatever assets that you have, utilize them, send traffic to this offer page, and sit back and see what happens. Okay, now, if people buy to a point that you're happy with it, then you pat yourself on the back, because you now have a product that's been validated. So at this point, what you're going to do is you're going to finish out that marketing campaign for it, and then you're going to shut it down, and you're going to get busy actually delivering to those new customers. Really obvious. You've got a validated product here. You've have people who have given you money. Now you deliver to them, okay? Do exactly what you promised. Now, the big thing here is that at what point do you decide that it's validated enough? You know, how many sales is enough to consider it validated? Well, really, there's no set answer here. It's an answer that you'll have to make for yourself. The big question is, are you happy with the result? Are you happy with it? If you got enough sales to justify for yourself the time that it's going to make to do it, then that's validation. If you're disappointed, or you think, wow, you know, I was expecting this number and I only had like 1 or 2 people do it, and you're not happy with that, then consider that not a validated product, okay? Now, that goes on to step 6. What do you do if not enough people buy it, or if nobody buys it? Well, if they don't buy it, then it wasn't the right offer. It just simply wasn't the right offer, okay? So what you're going to do here is you're going to go back to number 1, and you're going to find the offer which they want. This is the power of pre-sale, because now you can tweak that offer. I do not want you to look at what happens here, and if you don't get enough sales, immediately look at it as a failure, because it's not necessarily a failure. What that is a data point. You know that the offer as you positioned it wasn't the right fit. And so you go and you find out, maybe do some more surveys. You could even, if people don't buy, but you know they went and viewed it, you could even send them an email or a survey that's basically straight up ask them, why didn't you buy this? You know, and find out what they say. And now when you get that data, you go back and you tweak that offer, and you know, deliver what they really do need and want, and then you try it again. You try the offer, you go through these steps again, okay? So that's what happens if people don't buy it. Now, I've had some people ask me, what happens if 1 or 2 people buy it and you decide not to move forward with it because you're not happy? What do you do with those sales? Well, it's simple. You refund them. You know, you don't keep their money if you can't deliver. Now, if you want, if you would like to do this, you could contact those individual people and offer them something else in exchange, or something like that, or maybe help them individually. That's totally between you and them. The whole idea is that they need to be happy with what they got for that money. And if you're just literally not going to deliver upon that, then of course, refund them their money. Consider that a product test. And again, just refund their money and then move on and iterate like I already talked about. Now, that's pretty much the process. That's what you're going to do. It's not that complicated. This is how you can test out product ideas and make money potentially while you're doing it, because you can get money in the door before the product actually exists. And by the way, If you're ever worried about actually like completing a project, like creating that product, there's no better motivator than the fact that you've got people who have paid you who are sitting there waiting for it. Okay? So this not only helps get some money in the door, but it also helps you actually deliver upon it in a timely manner to your customers and provide good customer service, because you'll be motivated at that point. Okay? So that's the pre-sale process. That's how you do it. Has a lot to do with setting your prices, because if you have a target price in mind for this product, you test it out at that price. You don't lowball it and then think that that's going to somehow be a validation for a higher price point. And you certainly don't go out there and give it to a bunch of people for free and think that it's going to validate a particular price point. It does not. The only way to test it at a particular price is to sell it at that price and see what happens. Okay? Hopefully that was helpful to you. If it has been, I would love it if you would share this podcast with a friend, email it to some people, share it out on Twitter and Facebook. And of course, if you have not already gone and posted your review and star rating of this podcast inside of iTunes, I would highly appreciate it if you would go and take care of that little item of business right now. And you can do that by going to blogmarketingacademy.com/iTunes. That will shortcut you right in there. Okay, thanks so much for listening, and I will see you on the next installment of Coffee Break Blogging. Thanks for listening to this episode of Coffee Break Blogging. If you like what you heard here today, we have something awesome we'd love to send you. It's called the Blog Conversion Guide, and it has 9 tweaks you can make to your blog in order to increase your conversion rate to get more opt-ins and sales. As one of our listeners, we'd love to give you access to this guide absolutely free. You can get your copy right now by going to coffeebreakblogging.com. Again, go to coffeebreakblogging.com to get your copy, and we'll see you next time.